Dzień dobry. Ponowna próba połączenia, gdyż wszystko co tutaj robimy jest próbą, gdyż i z próbą siebie i nas samych mamy do czynienia. Witamy Państwa bardzo serdecznie w kolejnej transmisji na żywo z terenowego studia Scena Tańca AOIA. Dzisiaj moim gościem jest Leung. I hope I said it correctly.
Yes.
Alright. Będziemy dzisiaj rozmawiać oczywiście o tańcu, gdyż o związki z tańcem nam tutaj chodzi najbardziej. Jeżeli ktoś do nas dołączy za chwilę, to będziemy wdzięczni za znak sygnał, żeby dowiedzieć się, jak połączenie przebiega. W każdym bądź razie zaczynamy już za chwilę. O czym będziemy rozmawiać, to też wyjdzie w praniu. So, hello David.
Hello. Dzień dobry.
Dzień dobry Państwu. I'm really glad that you agree for this interview.
I'm very glad too to be invited by you, Michał.
Thank you very much. Actually, this is also for the people who are stuck in their homes. We are stuck in a different situation, different circumstances.
Yes.
So I feel like it's a good moment to share whatever we have in our interest connected to the dance, of course. So because this is the main thing why we meet here.
Yes.
Actually, I was thinking quite a lot what topic to choose to talk. Last time I met with Mario Blanco.
Yes.
The topic was quite obvious for me because of the connection with the water.
Yes.
But I feel that we've got a lot of connection also with the thinking about the dance connected to the land.
Yes.
But there is so many topics in my head, but when I was thinking about it, there comes one question to my mind, especially in these times, because I was thinking about my students on the university.
Yes.
So I'm waving my hand to my students. I hope they are quite active all the time with the practice, not only mental but also physical. But I was thinking about the education. I know that you also are a lecturer on the dance university. Is that correct?
Well, we are called the Hong Kong Academy for Performing Arts, and there are 6 schools. One school is the School of Dance. That's where I work, where I teach. And we offer diplomas and bachelor degrees and also master degrees.
Okay, so my question was connected to the education because, for example, I don't know how it works with your students, but for example, our students, they are stuck in the homes, they need to study online, which is quite challenging if we talk about the movement and study, I mean the practical way, not only the ideas and going into mind more. How about the practice, physical practice and connection with the student and the teacher? And both in the same way, but in the times, I just call it like apocalypto time. When the connection between the real people, like really this one,
like touch, yes.
Touch connection, goes to the idea of online. So most of the teachers in my academy struggling with the practical things, how actually still continue the program of the study with the students. Of course, this is the idea how to develop it in another way, but I've got much more questions with that, but I would like to ask you how it looks like from your way for your connections with the student. Is your academy still work? How you deal with that situation, with the educational and the connection between student and teacher?
Thank you for the question. I think it's a useful question. My first response to that would be that life throws things at us. It just happens like that. And at this time, we are being thrown this very small thing. It's called the virus, right?
Yeah.
It's so small. But it upsets every norm, let's say, that we are used to. Something as simple as touch. Actually being in this kind of a close distance, for a lot of us now becomes a kind of luxury. And I also think a lot about this, and this is unreal. First of all, how did this all happen? I still don't have a very clear answer to this whole, if I may call this an ordeal, or what Michał referred to as some kind of an apocalyptic happening. I have a strong faith and strong sense that we will continue. Human beings will continue to thrive somehow. We just have to find a new way. Speaking about the academy, yes, because we are also mainly a performing arts academy. That means, what do we focus on? We focus on actual practice of the arts of music, drama, dance, and other related arts. So every day, people-to-people, actual physical contact is the key to our practice and to our way of learning.
Actually, that's the environment.
That's the environment in which everything happens. And we don't even have that now. So it's really been a struggle for myself and many of my colleagues. I am a little bit more fortunate because officially I'm not teaching in the second semester, which is happening now. So officially I'm not teaching. But I also think about my students, and I also am in touch with my colleagues and just brainstorming, thinking about how do we do this, because this whole thing may last beyond this second semester and even beyond the summer vacation. No one knows.
Yes.
What if this continues to happen, and then comes the next school year, we still have to somehow rely on this kind of online teaching. So that for me means a lot of brainstorming, a lot of breaking of the old norm in order to move forward as a tribe, let's say.
Yeah, but for me it's the question, how long can we stay online with the things which is so practical and based in the real human connections? Even if we talk about stage and performance,
Yes.
it's not the same when we look the performance online, recorded, because there is not all of this, beautiful minerals, which is like sense of feeling,
Yes.
the atmosphere, the connections, the distance, how you can change, how you can perceive it. How long we can still work in that way of thinking online? You think is that if the situation will be, I hope not, but let's see, will not finished. Is it possible that dance in that way of how we know the dance will finish?
That's a very good question, Michał. Obviously, I am no expert in that. I'm not sure if there is any expert in that as we speak, because we're faced with something which is, it's not entirely new to human beings, but it's relatively new to us at this day and age. A lot of comparison has been made to the 1918 Spanish flu. But that was like a long time ago, right? So I didn't go through that physically and personally. I can only read about it. I think it's fair to say that we don't know how long this will last, as I mentioned. It's interesting that, Michał, you were asking about, so how long can we sustain ourselves with this kind of new way of online approach, not even to learning and teaching, potentially even to the very experience of performance, attending a performance. We all know by now that we can watch things online, and I believe for you and for me definitely it's a completely different experience is lacking in many of the minerals and, may I add, micronutrients that we get specifically when we attend a live performance. We interact with people, we see, we hear, we actually feel the performance on stage.
We can actually active our senses, like
Exactly.
really physically.
Yes. And of course we all know about the mirror neurons and all of that, which I feel it's very difficult to be replaced by any activities online. So the answer in short is I really don't know how long we can last. But as we speak, we have to together somehow find a way, and I would say we take it one step at a time.
When I was thinking about today's interview and I was thinking about the education, first thing was because you are a lecturer on the Performing Art Academy, I'm a lecturer on the Music Academy with the dance field. So first question was, what was the difference, or what is interesting in the way of teaching and all of this. But then I realized that we are in such a different time, like the time online, which is totally different, which you already said a few words about it. And then I realized also the question about the time, because we don't know answer when is that finished. I hope it will finish anyway, but still the question is about the time. We can think about the time which passed, we can think about the future, and we can think about the time which is now.
Yes.
So for me, what is most interesting when I think about my students, the time is now. How to use that time, how to use this situation, maybe not so comfortable, but still connect with the real dance.
Yes.
Because something interesting appearing in my, let's say, dancer mind. Usually, I think it's ice cream or something.
Maybe, yeah.
But it's alive.
Yes, things happen. Life throws things at us, remember? It just throws things at us.
Efekty specjalne, special effects.
Yeah.
But still, usually what we do with the past, we're just forgetting about. What we do, what we act in the time right now, it's usually connected what we think about the future. What I'm thinking about. Usually dancers are thinking about training, about creating new skills. They preparing to some specific time which will appear in the future. It can be close future or far away future, but still it's not right now. We just train to be ready somehow. To be ready to appear on the stage, to use our skills and all of this. But I think right now in this apocalypto time, the question of the future it's totally different in the sense of the being present right now, which is so much connected with the stage, with the being present at the stage, not in the future, not in somewhere in the past, but really right now. So my question is, maybe you've got some kind of, I don't know, advice, maybe just question, I don't know, about how to actually find the motivation for the young students of Dance Academy, where they are used to really practice studying, and now they are stuck in the houses and online. How to fit curiosity, how to really be in the moment, be in the present, and still connect with the dance anytime, any moment, even now. What to do?
I'm not an expert in any of this, but being a citizen in Hong Kong, we live in very small spaces, and I also have my little living space. when I'm not teaching, sometimes what I do is I stay home and I read and I watch videos about the dance, videos about other things I want to learn. And I have this little floor space. I call it my practice space. Sometimes I deliberately use that space. So I don't go out, I don't go back to the studio that we have, which is large and beautiful and air conditioned and all of that. Sometimes I give myself an assignment and I just stay in that small living space on my own and I see what I can do. It's like a little game that I play with myself. Of course it's very limiting, but I feel very strongly that the very act of creativity, it becomes almost meaningless to me. If suddenly you tell me now, okay, David, you have all the freedom in the world to create, I think I would be lost.
So you need a frame.
Yes. So what is this idea of a frame and limitation? How much of that challenges me in such a way that I feel uncomfortable? And yet, if that uncomfort becomes another frame, if I can see that as just another frame, what can I create out of that frame?
I mean, out of the comfort.
Out of the discomfort, the lack of comfort, which I'm assuming that many of us are going through that right now. So I don't know, that's the first thing that I think of. Me and that little living space that I have, and that silly practice that I just lock myself up in that small space and, okay, David, create, do something about it. Practice something.
I like this idea, and I also really feel connected with this kind of idea. Maybe because of the famous expression of Bruce Lee, use the limitation as a way to creation.
Yes.
So actually, in that way, we can actually perceive the situation which is going right now. Maybe not in a colorful way, but still, it's some kind of, as you said, discomfort, which we can transform. Maybe not in a comfort, but maybe comfort is not so much connected about learning. Sometimes it's coming like really like putting some energy really to find something more, to reach something more because of the limitation. But I questioning sometimes myself, and I really find many different answers which actually appears and recent time as a patterns which quite useful, as you said, frame, how I can use a frame, how I can recognize a frame, how I can go out of the frame, maybe to even build a new frame or transform this frame in the act of recreation. But question, where is the engine? Where is the engine to start, to find the curiosity, to let go or to go on from the starting point? Like you appearing in this small space, I don't know what does it mean small, it can be like 2 or 3 meters or even 1 square meter, it doesn't matter, it can be also the space inside of you. This is also a beautiful stage actually to recognize it, but how you find your starting point, I mean the engine, what gives you this kind of feeding the curiosity?
First of all, I'm thinking about a solo that I did maybe 10, 11 years ago. That solo actually came out from me working in the small space of my own home. And that solo, the first 15 minutes of it, saw me in a very small square. I was confined by the lights in a small square, and I wanted to break out, but I wouldn't be able to. So that was the scene of that first part of my solo. Anyway, skip back to the question that you were asking, my strong calling for the response about where does this drive come from, we can say it's very simple. For me, it's all out of love. The simple love for what we are doing. Why do I dance? I even ask myself to this day, I don't know how well you can tell a person's age when he comes from Asia. I'm 46 years of age and I'm not that young anymore, and I sometimes feel it in my body that I'm not the same as I was, like, let's say 20 years ago. In more than one instances, I would ask myself, okay, David, so how long are you going to do this for? Like, is there ever an end, an apocalypto to my dance career? Do I even know when that will come? Any expert that I can ask? I doubt that. But very often when I ask myself, I go back to the very first moment when dance happened to me in life. I was not trained in any physical practice before I was 19 years of age. And when I was 19, dance just came into my life. Through an introduction of a friend, I joined some kind of dance society in my university. It was not even formal training per se. But somehow I liked it so much that I decided to pursue it. So I studied some more after I graduated with my first degree in English. And then that was it. I just kept going and going and going. I would ask that question many times over the past 26, 27 years. So is there an end to all of this? And I'm very glad to tell you and to tell myself and to tell you, Michał, today that, well, this is still somehow happening. I'm still very active in performance, in choreography, in teaching, and in research. I'm very thankful for that. To go back to what I said, it's a simple four-letter word, love. But what is actually in this word love? Maybe how I feel is quite different than what you think. Maybe how you experience this, if you agree with what I call this love, maybe you have a different experience of what it is for you. But I feel that simple drive that when human beings go out and do something, create something, I feel that has somehow something to do with this magical word love. And the fact that the human mind, our nervous system, is expansive. You can read all about the neurological researchers online nowadays. And I believe it will tell you the same thing, is that there is no end to any kind of learning activity that the human being can undergo. So I feel that with these two things, the mind and love, I feel I'm sustained quite well.
So, actually we did some kind of circle and connected with the question of a time.
Yes.
Which we said before. But if we talk about the motivation, I really like the way which you said, because we said start from the love, and then that nothing about learning will not finished. Because if you could do it like opposite way, if you start from something to learn which never finished, maybe it's not so much motivating me. But if the engine is first, like when you ask yourself what you do, why you do, why you love, how you love that what you do, that the information that is never-ending story actually is something different. So I perceive it as a really never-ending engine for the energy to do this also. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you.
I look on our watch. We still have because our watch is like sunset.
Yes, beautiful sunset.
We don't have a clock, but still we've got like few minutes left. The question is, do you hear us, people? I hope yes. Maybe one more question connected to what we actually do here, because we found in a, let's say, I don't know, because I'm still thinking about the idea of the virus and what is going on out there and actually around us. It's quite difficult to understand it as a reality, but from the other hand, we like somehow stuck in the island after the dance festival, and we are in the beautiful circumstances to still share the knowledge, share the idea of how we perceive a dance, how we feel about the dance. There is so many interesting people, so I'm really glad and grateful for this opportunity to, even right now, connecting with the idea of the time. The time is now.
The time is now.
The time is now, so let's use the time now. I'm not sure what is the question, because this is still like I'm really got a really big wow inside of me to see what is happening here, and the possibility to observe when the festival is finished. There is no more like, you know, organizational stuff, like really leaders and followers and volunteers and stuff like this. How the community is creating by itself, but with the one connection, curiosity, like being interested in the movement, in a dance, in the people, in the human, what you are doing, how you do it, can you share? What is your experience with stacking in the island in the idea of education?
Even before you were talking about this, an image came to mind. We have a beautiful supply of fresh fruits here on the island. We can walk around. The other day we just found a mango tree. So 3 mangoes, and they are juicy, they're sweet, a little bit tart, sour, just to my liking. I have this image that popped up in my head. Juicing. Imagine in front of you is now your favorite fruit, whatever it is. Watermelon, papaya, pineapple, whatever it is. You like it so much. You want to get the last bit of juice out of it. That's the kind of love that I was speaking for towards my dance. I feel I have a lot more to go before the last drops of juices. However, speaking of which, we are in some kind of a quarantine. We're in some kind of a limited situation. So for me, it's like I take that fruit, and I have already taken out the majority of the juice from that fruit. I'm left with something still. I'm not as resourceful as I began. But I still want to do something with that. I still see the goodness of that fruit. So what do? I juice it some more. But I become very gentle. I become very strategic. In this kind of a limited scenario, what I personally feel is, how do I maintain my energy level? In the physical practice of dance, obviously this is very, very important. So how do we maintain energy level when we are not engaging so much in that kind of physical activity that we are used to day in, day out? Of course you can say, oh David, you still have the space to run around, to move around, but what if I am locked inside my room? This goes back to the experiment that I spoke about earlier. Sometimes I really do lock myself up in that little living space that I have. 1 day, 2 days. Prior to coming to this island, actually I was kind of forced to do that in some scenarios. Because even in Hong Kong, we were feeling the pressure of the virus, and some days I was just inside that apartment by myself for 1 day, for 2 days, sometimes 3 days. So what do? Basic movement investigations. I investigate a lot in breathing and simple movement, just like walking and standing. At the beginning, these were seriously not the most pleasant of all the dance experiences or movement experiences that I've encountered in my life. But, and Michał would probably also connect to this well, because he also has to practice in Qigong and energy practices and also Kung Fu. And a large part of these practices can be quite boring, involving standing there for long periods of time. It's challenging. Now I'm glad that I started this kind of practice long time before I'm faced with this scenario. Now somehow I find this useful. I don't know how popular this kind of practice is among your peers, but I would say just be inquisitive. You don't need a lot of space to walk around literally. I can do this in this small bungalow that we have here. Actually, I've been doing it. Sometimes when the sun is so strong, I don't feel like going out. I just stay inside and I do a little bit of my walking practice. Sometimes I do a little bit of my standing practice. Is it as good as, oh, give me a floor so I can roll on it? Give me a space so I can run in it, so I can jump in it. It's not as good as that. Come on, we all know that. But there is always something that we can do. And we can use the experience of the human body in motion back to these basic components of standing, of walking, of just breathing. And maybe something comes from that. Who knows?
Thank you.
Thank you.
So to summarize it, drink your juice, put love into your juice to feel the sweetness of the juice, and use your limitation as a way to creation. Maybe there is something more than you even realize it. So, thank you so much. See you next time. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Michał. Sorry, you must be jealous about our hug, but I felt like, I had to do that.
But we're sending that hug for you.
Yes.
So, thank you so much. Stay safe. Drink
Stay
juice.
safe. Drink juice. Drink water as well.
And
love you all.
Put love in everything what you do. See you next time.
See you on the dance floor sometime.